Hello, welcome back to another volume. So I'm going to look at some older records now, and the plus side, if you're interested in just getting a taste of some old stuff, especially if you're not used to it, whether it be country, jazz, classical, you can usually find it for next to nothing. Usually, depending on what you're looking for, because a lot of that stuff's not highly sought after. You can find them at Salvation Army, Goodwill, and record stores. So I'm just no particular order. I just would like to go ahead and kind of talk about some of my favorite really old stuff that you might find interesting. If you want some good Americana, Johnny Horton. This is just the greatest hits. Unfortunately, he died in a plane crash. So often happens to these musicians. Battle of New Orleans, North to Alaska, Sink the Bismarck. Actually, my favorite is when it's springtime in Alaska, it's 40 below. That's my particular favorite. Love Johnny Horton. I associate it with my late father. A lot of fun. Definitely recommend listening to some Johnny Horton. For more Americana, this is a reissue, which is fine. Sometimes I've had issues with reissues. I will say that you buy like $20, $30 for, a remaster, maybe 40. Sometimes the pressings don't work right. And if you don't listen to it for a few months, it's like, oh, well, I can't take that back. Johnny Cash at Folsom Prison. Now, there's many releases that Johnny did, but this one's a lot of fun if you want a good, raw, like, live recording. I mean, it's hard to, argue with, like, of course you have some, like, Folsom Prison Blues, those types are on here. Jackson's on here. But I really like, it's hard to beat for me, Cocaine Blues. I really enjoy this particular, like the track list, the set list, I guess, is what you call for live performances, but really wonderful. Another great Americana, his voice is fantastic. And if you can get his collaboration with Dolly Parton, there's some brass, kind of like almost like pop crossover. I mean, for being a country guy. He did like Always Something There to Remind Me, Ruby Tuesday, and some of those. But you can't go wrong with just a good basic greatest hits. And so, I mean, he had so many good ones. Come Early Morning is really great. Amanda. I mean, I don't know. They're all good. Great voice. One of the greats. I don't care what they say. He was one of the greats. So, moving into other weirder territory, you might know from The Exorcist the Tubular Bells theme. Well, it's a little bit longer. Sorry, Mike Oldfield. Tubular Bells. I like the Weird album art. I've always liked the Tube. But you get a nice weird, like it's almost like classical, right? It kind of has different movements. It goes through different moods and different elements, but it does allow that nice bell sound build up. So usually you can find this one pretty inexpensive. I got this for $3. So Mike Oldfield. If you're wanting some good jazz, I don't have any Benny Goodman, but he's really worth it. Of course, you never can go wrong with who I've not collected, Coltrane or Miles Davis. But if you want like the big band era, kind of sound a little bit different, but something that's more with like the brassy, the jazzy kind of influence, you can never go wrong with Artie Shaw. Artie Shaw was a big, I think, Hollywood guy. Like he would play, for Hollywood. I love this album art. It's fantastic, and it's a double LP. So it opens up. But, I mean, like Nightmare, you probably would recognize that music if you're in Bioshock, like it's in that soundtrack. It's also in Moonglow. It's also in Martin Scorsese's the Howard Hughes movie, The Aviator. But fantastic, definitely give him a listen. The other big band guy would be, of course, Glenn Miller. And usually you can find a lot of different compilations, of good old Glenn. He is, of course, probably best known for In the Mood. but there's some other really great ones too. Pennsylvania 65000, Chattanooga Choo Choo, Moonlight Serenade, String of Pearls, Little Brown Jug. I do really like the I've Got a Girl in Kalamazoo. It's so strange. American Patrol. Any compilation, I have several different ones. Any compilation of Glenn Miller is great. Another guy that's well known for trumpet playing, for brass, for Dixieland style. Sometimes there is a Dixieland album, is Al Hirt. I particularly love this release. I think he's known for like the Green Hornet theme, which is really cool. But I really like the simplicity, the fun, light frothiness of Cotton Candy. This album also has his Hello Dolly recording in it. Too Late. 12th Street Rag. He did a Kansas City rag, and he did several different city type rags. There's a great Christmas album. He was a heavyset guy. He had the pipes, the lungs for it. But this one's actually, I don't know, there's just a nice charm about this one in particular. But any of his recordings, totally cool. Totally recommend looking into. Good old Al Hirt. You can always, with a lot of old records, find many greatest hits and compilation type of things. So one I actually really like is this one, Go With The Greats. It has several different famous jazz. I just like the warm color. The old album art is just so cool to kind of hear these. Nat King Cole. So pretty cool compilation. There's many. This one just happens to be one of the ones I have. It's one of my favorites. You can find really expensive or maybe really cheap versions of some of these. A great historical document is Orson Welles' recording that was aired. That terrified people because it was not advertised as a kind of like a play, right? Like an on-air play. His War of the Worlds, and people did die from it, unfortunately, but it was broadcast by the Mercury Theater, it says, October 30th, 1938, and so this edition is not, this LP is not in good condition, but it's actually really worth a listen just if you're a student of history. Like the aliens attacking. It's like the H.G. Wells, book. Wells spelled differently than Orson. Orson, of course, is best known for Citizen Kane. He's a director. William Randolph Hearst kind of destroyed his life. And I mean, it is what it is. But really cool piece of history. I have a couple of here, and I've seen these in different stores. They're usually not, you can get several different presidents, but it is kind of cool to see the JFK memorial album, or the speech, Ask Not What Your Country Can Do For You, Ask What You Can Do For Your Country, the address given on January 20th, 1961. But really, really cool. Always love those old-fashioned art pieces in here, or the old photographs. But you can find a lot of really cool things like this, or even weird audiobook kind of style things about the history. Nationalism's more popular back then. And again, I feel two ways about it. I truly enjoy learning about the history, despite, it doesn't matter really what you believe, but you can't change the past. And there's just some really cool stuff. So I just thought I'd kind of share a couple of random things here. But I'd also like to talk a little bit about classical music, I think, to sum this video up. There's a lot of classical music that you can get. These are really, really great. These 75 musical masterpieces are usually in volume sets or single sleeves, but you can usually find parts of them here or there. And I actually have volume 1 as I'm an art teacher by trade, so it's a Paul Cézanne image, the card players. This one's great. I mean, what's great about these compilations is it just gives you a little bit of, accustomed to Wedding or Whistle if you're not used to classical music. Beethoven, Symphony Number 5, Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake. I mean, yeah, these are great already, right? It has Handel's Alleluia Chorus, Schubert's Marche Militaire, which is in different recordings, different styles on different ones. Piano Concerto Number 1, Peer Gynt Suite by Grieg, Strauss, Talavina Woods, The Blue Danube by Strauss is in here, Sorcerer's Apprentice by Dukas, Mendelssohn's Midsummer Night's Dream, Mozart's Serenade in G Major from Inkling Nachtmusik, A Little Night Music, Sonata number 14 in C sharp minor, Moonlight Sonata, Hungarian Dance by Brahms, Romeo and Juliet by Tchaikovsky. Really, these are really nice. Usually the most highly sought after classical pieces, the best recordings are like your Deutsche Grammophon, and there's another one. Well, like I think your RCA Victor too, are traditionally considered standards of high quality that audiophiles really like. But you can usually pick these up for like $1 or $2, and like if you're just you just don't really want to look online, or you want like a nice curated list, well, here you go. It's really nice. I like this Stereo Treasury series by London FFRR, and this is Rossini. I really like Rossini. Le Boutique, fantastic. So it also has the Sorcerer's Apprentice on this one as well, but really nice recording. Just has that nice quality to it. It gives you background on the story that's associated right with the music. Fortunately, my Mussorgsky's Pictures at an Exhibition is damaged, so I'm looking for a new copy. This one is the London Stadium Orchestra, conducted by Sir Malcolm Sutherland, 1974. There's tons of these. Mussorgsky did this interesting idea where he wrote a body of work, Pictures at an Exhibition, literally like a museum, like a gallery's worth of images that stood out, caught his eye, and he wrote music that went with those pictures. So it's visually inspired music. It just has some of the pieces are really, really great. In particular, the Promenade is very famous. And I really like the Old Castle. So these are really great. Here we have some of the RCA Victor. This is a red seal. Comes with a booklet as well. And this is Golden Jubilee Concert, Vladimir Horowitz, the New York Philharmonic. And it's recorded at Carnegie Hall in 1978. Really beautiful work of Rachmaninoff, Concerto Number 3. I'm not the biggest Rachmaninoff fan, so he's one of the Russian. It's very deep and introverted feeling, going back to those Myers-Briggs type descriptions of personality. So it does, that part I don't relate to, but there's this nice, very, it's intense feeling. And it's very Russian, very depressing and dark, but beautiful too. I don't know where to tell you to begin. If you're looking at someone more like Rachmaninoff was more modern, right, than like your Bachs or your Handels, but interesting, nice recording of it. Also a good series is this 25 Immortal Masterpieces. Now this obviously was cataloged, so it's taped on from a library. They actually typed the track list instead of just looking at I don't know. But it helped them find it. So there's some really great ones in here. You have Strauss, you have Mendelssohn, Brahms, Mussorgsky, Handel, Tchaikovsky, Rossini. It's the William Tell Overture. You have Schubert's March Militaire again, Beethoven, Also very nice recordings. Now, like I mentioned in the last video, I really loved Switched on Bach. So there's some knockoffs, so it shows you the popularity of Wendy Carlos, or Walter Carlos, whatever. Walter then Wendy. So here's the electronic Messiah with artwork of Handel sitting there. If you like the Messiah, or if, I think there's also some Beethoven and Mozart of this kind of these electronic recordings, but they're really fun. Digital synthesizer ensemble. A lot of just, kind of, it's just a weird product of the times, but I find these anomalies just really, really cool. Like $1, so it's not like it's that valuable or anything, monetarily speaking, but, yeah, if you can find these, I wish there was some of Mussorgsky, or even Vivaldi would be cool in this digital format. And to my knowledge, there isn't any, but there were a few of these like famous pieces, set aside like that. Anyway, I guess the last thing, I know this is a long video full of just a bunch of random things. I think I'll leave you with one last one. Both a single copy of it. Bing Crosby, When Irish Eyes Are Smiling. Love Bing Crosby, one of the best voices of all time. This one's really cool because it's like his Irish roots, and so it comes with like some really great recordings. Like you do have the Tura Lura Lura, but Galway Bay, sorry. How Can You Buy Killarney, Eileen, which I wonder if that's where Come On Eileen kind of gets there. The Isle of Innisfree, sorry, which I know they talk about in The Quiet Man, the John Wayne movie, if you're familiar with it. But I really like this, and it's actually included in this set. If you can find these collectible sets, they're totally worth it. $3 at a little old antique store. This was put together. It's good recordings, Reader's Digest. So it's Bing Crosby, 96 of his greatest hits, and it's just so cool to kind of see. So you have the first Crosby hits, and then they kind of continue, but they go all the way from what appears to be 1934. And on up through like the 50s. So pretty stinking cool. His Christmas records are great as well, which I do have one, but it's kind of beat up. So just to kind of show you know what you're dealing with. So they even have like the cataloging number system here. 1, 2, 3, and you can, that way you know exactly which one you want, and you can pull it out. Good condition. You can oftentimes find, if you're into more like old school things like this, you can find some pretty cool collections. So anyway, just fun. Just thought I would kind of share another set of some random, very, very random things this time.